Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. Here on the Pastor's Potluck, it's similar to a normal potluck where you might get something that you want and there may be something that you just want to pass up altogether. And that's okay. There's something here for everybody. Our goal here is to encourage you and maybe in the process entertain you. If you're ready, let's dig in. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to another episode of the Potluck.
Oh, boy.
Sing a little musical number.
I can't. I'm worried. I don't trust myself to sing at this time of the day.
Dude, I don't know what it is. I think I can sing pretty much at any time of the day, but it has to be like play singing. Like if I'm taking it seriously, like I have to go through like my vocal warm-ups. Like if I'm like leading people in worship, I just can't just like jump into it because I don't know. Y'all seen the veins pop out of my neck whenever I sang?
Not the singing. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
I think I have one that like goes through my forehead too. Like whenever I'm like really singing high notes.
In here of you singing crazy. I don't see any.
No, there's one there, but I'm not like straining.
You're not in the high note over there.
No. I do. I have one that goes right through my forehead.
Is it the same one when you're yelling at your dogs?
Yes. Yes. Same exact one. Yeah. Yeah. And it gets more pronounced as like my hair slowly like recedes back.
Oh no. It starts to just take over the whole forehead.
For real. It's just like,
oh my goodness.
Singing at us or yelling at us?
I love singing. I'm not a good singer, great singer. Like that's not something that, God has just held back. He's like, she can't do it all, people. And so, but I love to sing.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I just like when I'm not like sing-songy, like just like Paul and other people who are like close to me are like, what's going on? You all right? Like I haven't heard you make up a song about the dogs in like 3 days. I haven't heard you make up a song about the dishwashing detergent.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? I'm like, yeah, and I'm just in it. Like I'm not feeling too great because I be singing songs.
Yeah. I sing like conversations and Erica hates it. She's like, hey, do you mind, emptying the dishwasher? And I'm like, yes, my love, I can do it for you.
Every day's a musical.
Yeah. I'm just like skipping out of the bedroom, just like dancing away like I'm on Newsies or something.
Gosh.
But she hates it. And it brings so much joy to my life because I like doing things that kind of like, they don't frustrate her, but they frustrate her, know?
Yeah. Like
it's like the tiny inconveniences that married couples have.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, but could you just not do that anymore?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I cannot.
We're about to get in a fist fight. You're welcome, listeners.
Yeah, but she hates it.
So good.
She's like, would you, for once, like I'm trying to have a serious conversation about something and you're just singing everything. I'm like, I'm sorry that the bills didn't get paid on time.
Dang it.
We don't ever have that conversation.
You are asking for a fist fight if you keep that up.
Yeah. Jared, I really need you to like take care of this. I'm like, okay. Like just try to like make it like sad song, kind of sneak it in there a little bit.
No way, dude. This is how you get beat up. This is how that works. You spent a little bit of time with Paul and I yesterday, and we've, that is funny. You mentioned it's funny to see different people, like especially couples, but just in general, like family dynamics, like seeing someone that's not you, you're going, we would probably be fighting right now.
Yes.
And then like, but they're not. Like, that's how I feel about it. I'll be like, good for you guys that you're not like out here throwing spatulas or something.
Like sometimes you, like, okay, so sometimes like you see like a couple fighting or something like at Kroger or whatever, Walmart. and you just want to like laugh because
Oh yeah, you're like, what are you doing?
Like y'all are arguing over what kind of popcorn, and like this is like a drag out.
Oh yeah.
Just get one of each. It's stinking popcorn.
Wait, what? At Kroger or Walmart?
It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, like if you see a couple and they're like,
I'm just
they're arguing
asking,
about dumb stuff.
Because Paul and I were fighting over popcorn at Kroger the other day. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, I know what y'all look like.
Paul was making this big. He had this huge, like, I don't know, like a lecture from the couch the other day about Orville Redenbacher popcorn. He's like, I understand that Orville says on the box movie theater butter, but if movie theaters said that they made Orville Redenbacher popcorn, you think that would be the same kind of thing? And I'm like, what world are we in right now?
What did you get your hands on to ingest? Like you just picked up some kind of like that slimy toad and just licked it really quick and just went out into space, bruh.
But that's an absolute typical conversation in our home. So
yeah, I used to think like that, and I think that probably happened maybe 10 times total in our marriage. And Erica just walks away. She doesn't even say anything. I'm just like, I really need to get to the bottom of this. And she's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just talk to the dogs. And they just kind of sit there tilting their head left and right. Like, gosh. What do you mean popcorn? I don't understand that word.
It's incredible.
You know what's crazy too is different coaching styles.
Oh, dude, listen.
It's a good segue.
That's perfect. That's fine. It fits with when we were singing earlier. I coach middle school volleyball at one of the local private schools, and I do a check-in every day with the girls. We do some kind of like, they warm up, they do like their laps, stretches, and then I check in with everybody. They line up on the baseline, and I just like go through the list and ask like some kind of question, like an icebreaker style question. And one of the questions that we asked was like, what's something that you're not good at but you like doing anyway? And someone mentioned singing, and I was like, singing is my 100. Like 100%, that is it. But those check-in questions have been so cool because they help, like, when you're, practice time, like, you've got stuff on the list to do. Like, you have to do stuff. And that personal time to, like, get to know the person versus, like, the player is limited. And just that really simple, like, icebreaker check-in question, which helps me do attendance. It helps me, like, make sure everybody's there where they're supposed to be, whatever. It has been really cool because we actually had... I'm trying to think. It was a few weeks ago. One of the questions was like, what's your favorite kind of lunch meat or something? Like, if you had to make a sandwich, what do you want? What kind?
Are you stealing questions out of
No,
my
right?
mystery?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It's like, let me get my icebreaker for the team from the mystery meat jar. I should.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea. But the next time one of the families hosted the after school meal, so for like home games, the families are on a rotation to like just bring a snack for the kids.
Yeah.
One of the families provided like lunch meat sandwiches from Subway or somewhere, and they had the girls labeled with some of their choices from that icebreaker question like a week earlier. And I was like, which one of you is really learning about each other? Like listening and remembering, because it was cool. Like,
you're like, all right, girls, I want you to ask me what my most desired car is right now.
Right. Let's see. Da, da, da. What? In a parking lot? Thank you guys. Oh my gosh.
How did you know?
So that's been cool. Like, just even doing stuff like that. You never know. Like, team dynamics, they can be they can be tricky to like understand each other, but then when really simple little things can make a big difference. Because you guys were coaches.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Erica and I did that last year. She did it the year before by herself, and she's like, I really need some help. And I've never been a coach of any kind of sports. Like, I think the last time I did any kind of like organized sports was my freshman year in high school. I played racquetball in college for a semester, but other than that, it was, and so it'd been so long since and I didn't do anything with volleyball, obviously.
Yeah.
We had a boys volleyball team my 8th grade year whenever I was living in Louisiana. And we didn't know what we were doing. The coach didn't know what he was doing, but like, it was fun. I remember that. But yeah, it was so interesting because you try to find ways to just kind of connect with the girls that we were coaching, but also, like coach them as well.
Right.
One of the things that I did after because we coached the JV and the varsity teams, so the middle school and the high school teams essentially. And with the high school girls, I would always yell out M&Ms, M&Ms, and just because I wanted them to hustle.
Yeah.
And if I saw that they were putting the extra hustling in the game and like really going after it, the next time that I saw the girls, which was probably the day after or, a day or two after that game, I'd have a big bag of peanut M&Ms,
Oh,
like
wow.
the king size ones. And
Yeah.
that's what I would give them just as an incentive. Hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I see your hard work. I see what you're doing to, try to pull out a win or get better or just whatever it looked like, just as an incentive. And so
That's cool.
And so it was funny the other day. The other day we went and watched the girls that we used to coach. They played the school that our kids are now in because we
Okay.
moved to a completely different side of town. And I don't know who to cheer for. I don't have any buy-in for the current school that my kids are at, but I just yelled M&Ms, and they all kind of looked at me.
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
I was like, if y'all hustle, I'll go get you some. And they ended up winning, so I owe them
That's
some
cool.
peanut M&Ms.
Oh, I love that.
So-
That's really fun. Yeah, we do a couple incentive things. So middle school, a lot of the kids who come along are like new to the sport.
Yeah.
Like almost how you were saying as like I'm new to this sport. Like I'm just
Yeah.
out here trying to have a good time, like learn things, whatever. And so
Yeah, Erica was the professional in
Yeah.
that whole relationship.
she is awesome. She is a good coach. She took it really serious, which is cool
Yeah.
because some folks are just in there filling the spot like warm body style, and she was serious.
Yeah,
which was
she
cool.
is way more of an adult than I am.
That's why she doesn't like the sing-song responses.
No, she doesn't.
Oh my gosh. We actually just had a mini pancake party after one of our games a week ago because one of the girls rescued a ball from hitting the ground by performing what's called a pancake, like a dive, and you just like slide under the ball flat like a pancake to keep it from hitting the ground, put yourself between the ball and the floor.
Yeah.
And it allowed the ball to go up, and we finished a play and ended up scoring that point from that girl keeping the ball alive. And so we do pancake parties if we have a successful pancake.
Nice.
And so that afternoon, I was home, made a bunch of mini pancakes at home, bagged them up, got whipped topping, mini chocolate chips. And after the game the next day, we just passed out mini pancakes in the locker room and whipped topping to each top. And the kids, they loved it. Like those little things can really keep them going and help them to make the right choices when they're out there. It's cool.
Yeah, it's so funny like how your words and your actions can like really, really, really instill like a whole bunch of confidence in these kids that we're coaching. And talk a little bit about the importance of that, because I don't know. I guess if I had to put myself in like a kid's shoes again and like really pay attention to like that kind of like confidence building conversations and the actions and stuff like that, I would probably take it a lot more serious. Just being mindful of that. But talk about the importance of like how our words and our actions can either like lift someone's confidence or like completely destroy it too.
Yeah, that is so important, especially with like younger people, middle school, high school. It's just really everybody. Words matter to everyone. When you're working with these younger kids and they feel this pressure to perform in addition to receiving words and whatever, there's a heightened responsibility there. I know that there's lots of guidance in the Bible. I'm leaning towards maybe it's James is writing to the early church in maybe chapter 3. He talks about how our words can be used as growth opportunities, and how whenever we use our words to tear people down and break people down, that's literally doing the work of the enemy.
Yeah.
And I unfortunately have been on the receiving and the delivering end of both scenarios.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been perfect yet.
Yeah.
But we are all, being made new in Jesus. And that means that we do have moments where we go, oh, that's what this should look like.
Yeah.
And so doing things like giving those verbal affirmations, we just started doing this season. This is my 5th year. And before every game, we go in the locker room or wherever our meetup space is. If it's an away game, sometimes that's like in a corner of a gym or somewhere in a cafeteria, an art room, like whatever.
Yeah.
And we'll go around and everyone has to give an affirmation, something they know to be true about our team, like something positive they know to be true. And sometimes it's we're hustlers, and sometimes it's we're beautiful. Like both things are necessary for a pregame moment. Like sometimes like the comment is we're great at serving. And then other times the comment is we have a lot of fun together. Those are 2 very valuable things. Like one is a skill base, and then one is like your social base. And both have to come together, especially for young people, because when they're developmentally wise, they are so focused on the social aspect of things. Like their formative mindset is all based around, what do people think about me? Am I welcomed? Am I a friend? Are they friends with me? What they say about me? Why are they laughing? Did they laugh about something I did, something I said? And so to create confidence in those affirmations is just so huge. Because even if we have moments where this happens, even if a younger kid or a less skilled player doesn't get in the game, or they don't feel like they did the best they could have done, our words still ring true. Our words are still, hey, that playing time is important, but your worth doesn't come from the time on the court.
Yeah.
Like this, that play, it was important that you got your serve and you did make it. And that was tough on us, but your worth isn't in how well you serve.
Yeah.
And so just really coming in hot with those kind of backups to allow what they see and what they hear to create the best outcome when it comes to just using our words so that they matter. So that these kids, no matter where they go in life, whether they stick with this sport or try something new or stop all sports things altogether, they know that, hey, when I work that job and I mess up that order, my worth isn't in how well I complete orders.
Yeah.
Or, hey, when I start a family someday and I find out that we can't, afford certain niceties that I'm used to, my worth doesn't come from being able to afford things. That is just so important to me. And I think that a lot of good coaches are doing that without even really realizing it.
Yeah.
And it's really critical.
Yeah. Yeah. Just words matter. I mean, that's just the gist of everything. Have you ever found yourself at a point to where you needed to help someone bounce back whenever they're upset or frustrated? What is the type of approach that we can take to those things? That even just in life, I mean, this doesn't have to necessarily just be for people who are coaching kids sports. But how do you approach a situation with someone that's frustrated or just feeling down, and how do you convince them to hey man, don't give up, or let's persevere? What is the approach? I know there's not a magic word or anything like that, but you seem to approach things differently than I do. I'm just hey, just let's get it done.
Well, I think one of the phrases of the kids, they refer to this as getting in your head.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, I'm all in my head about it, coach. I'm all in my head about it. Or she's all in her head. That's why she's messing up every play, like whatever.
Yeah, I've heard parents yell, "Keep your head up."
Yeah.
Don't. It's a new point.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah,
just
a lot of that
along
stuff.
those lines.
So whenever I first started out, I didn't really have a phrase or a word. I was looking for stuff, and the first thing that I did, it was actually during COVID. I was trying to remember, why did I do this? It was during COVID. We all had masks on, and so you couldn't read my lips. And if I was yelling, like, who's yelling in here? Who's muffled yelling? Like, what's going on? And so
They were playing volleyball with masks on?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was a wild world we were living in. Yeah,
craziness.
I think back on it, I'm like, what the heck was going on? But anyway, so I did a lot of hand signals, pretty much only hand signals, hand and body signals. And so I would do one where, if you're only listening, I would just put my hands out, like palms down, and I would just pump towards the ground, like 2 or 3 pumps. And that literally meant settle, settle yourself, allow yourself to just like come down from wherever you're at.
Yeah.
And, that was like our like mental reset. The next year when we were able to say things, we literally used the word reset. Like we would say reset, and that could mean mentally. It could mean physically, like maybe you're way out of your position. Reset, like you take a quick mental check and a quick physical check. Like, oh my gosh, I left a huge area of the court open. I need to get back there. I need to reset. This year we started a new phrase that I heard from a volleyball podcast, and I thought that it was just so rich. And the first time I said it, it like clicked with my girls, and I was like, that we can never lose this gem. And it is make 1 point worth 1 point.
Yeah.
And so in volleyball, it's rally scoring. So every serve equals a point for somebody.
Yeah.
If you serve, back in the olden times, whenever I used to play, when you served, you gained points. And when the other team served, they gained points. But that was the only way. Like you could only win if you served and then won that set until you got to the desired score. But now every serve equals a point.
Yeah, regardless of what side it's coming from.
And so I say, hey, how many points is that worth? That ball that you just sent into the bleachers, or that ball that you just whiffed into the net, like how many points was that worth? And they're like 1 point. I said, let's keep it that way.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself get in your head to where you cost yourself and the team 2 or 3 or 4 points because you're having trouble staying focused. Let it be worth its 1. And then let's move on. And we've been able to talk about that in so many different regards, like even in life stuff. Like you had a bad day. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just had a bad morning.
Yeah.
Like if you had a bad morning, it doesn't mean you had a bad day. Let's keep going. Make the bad morning worth just a bad morning. Don't make a bad morning worth a bad afternoon. And like just chatting through that has been so helpful with them. It's been a really, really cool breakthrough.
Yeah. We would say, you would say reset. We would say home. Go home.
That's good.
Go home. Because you knew where home was always at. Mm-hmm. It's just like with our actual homes that we live in. You know how to get home. You know how to find it. You know where it's at. And then it was like, okay, I've got to protect my home.
Oh, cool.
You know?
Yeah.
So it was like that type of mentality, that type of and, you know, people always laugh at, like, things that coaches do.
Oh, crazy stuff.
I mean, you know, why is he yelling home and peanut M&Ms?
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
just, but, you know.
I'm out there yelling hitchhiker and tea. I'm yelling tea time, hitchhiker, pancakes. I'm yelling, I mean, just the craziest stuff. But that's how we communicate. They know what I'm saying when I say those things. And that's kind of fun in its own way, like to make up. And so one of the things that I didn't do it this year. I did some different things, but in the past years, we would sit down at the end of a practice towards the beginning of the season, and we would make up, hey, what are we going to call a spike? Like, what are we going to call an ace? Like, what's a cheer for this? We would just make all that stuff up together.
Yeah.
So that when we got to game day and whatever, like, we could say things. It felt very exclusive, like these other teams, they don't know what we're saying. Like we're saying our own language.
Yeah, because anytime a team gets like an ace, they always do the same 3 cheers. There's always like, oh, ace.
Right.
And then they stomp or clap or something like after it, or there's another one that does they do the peace out, Ace Town.
Oh
instead
yeah,
of
peace up, ace down.
Yeah,
Peace up, ace down.
it's
yeah, I've heard that
it's
one.
a knockoff off of that
Yeah.
Little John song.
Yeah. The girls that I'm coaching this year, they have one I've never heard before, and I like it. It's Spanish. They go, uno, dos, tres, say what, ace. It's really fun.
I like it.
It's like very fun.
I like it.
It's kind of lengthy, but they make it happen. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for it.
The refs are like, can we move along?
They're
You
like,
guys have sang
you
the
guys are,
alphabet.
okay, listen up, Dora. Let's get back to it.
Yeah, on the map. Just come on, service time. One of the things that you talked about earlier was like teammates and like kind of like what you like kind of go around and you know they're saying good things about the team, you know, like these positive affirmations and things like that. How are ways that teammates talk and act towards each other affect the whole team or maybe just individual players? Because so many times it's all the information and everything's coming from us. But what about people that are on the team? Like, do you know of like, or can you say like anything you're just like, maybe you got frustrated and you're like, if I say anything right now, like this is just going to not be beneficial to anybody or anybody, you know, I may get fired or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe somebody on the team has just like stepped in whenever they kind of felt like that. And they were like, you know, how, like, have you had any moments or moments like that?
Yes, moments of things like that have happened.
I was trying to think of a word there.
It's okay. It's okay. Synonyms are hard. You can barely say it. I want to say cinnamon every time, so it's fine. I have put girls into specific positions literally based on their attitude, and I have taken girls out of specific situations based on their attitude.
Yeah.
And that includes words, because it is so important, especially on the court game day. Like practice, there's a little more leeway with it because I can walk up to you and go, hey, you need to get your stuff together. Like, you can't talk to each other like that. Or I can walk up and say, hey, you're kind of the lead in this current lineup. You need to speak out more. Don't just communicate, like inform. And so like we've actually started using the term information is greater than communication, because communication is great. Mine, me, I got it, that kind of stuff. But like say something, like give information to your team, like pre-serve. Say, hey, let's try to set this play up. Hey, let's try to pass to this person. Hey, are you noticing on the other side of the court, they keep leaving this area open? Let's make something. And that's all stuff that we're trying to get them to talk about while they're out there.
Yeah.
Before a serve. Like they come together between every point. They all meet in the middle, do a little like back pat and like say a couple quick things, and then they move on. And we really, so probably the players that we put the most pressure on to inform and communicate to keep everybody on track is like our setters, since they're pretty much a part of every play. If folks aren't familiar with volleyball, which is totally fine, you get 3 hits per side. You have your first hit, your second, your third. The goal is to let your second hit be your setter, and they set up the ball for an attack to the other side. And so once that initial pass is made, the setter then decides whether they can get to that ball or not, which means they need to inform the team whether they are getting to that ball or not.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, they get to choose who is the best other person on the team to make the next action step. And so we put a lot of pressure on that player to be the informer. Like your job is to give the information to the team, to do it in a way that's encouraging and helpful, and to remind the team that they are exactly that, a team. They work together. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that maybe the best player is the one that's always going to get the ball, because maybe the best player is not in the best position to get that ball. Yeah. And so they have the freedom to move that around. And myself and my assistant coach do our best to give them that and let the team know they get to do that. Like, do not bully them. Do not pressure them. They get to be the wisdom on the court. And if you have something you'd like to share with them, the next time you guys get together, say it then.
Yeah.
Like, and that has been really helpful. Like and this is something that I've learned since I've been here, and even when I was teaching, like giving these young people the permission to be an authoritative voice to their peers when used in the appropriate context can be a huge resource and tool towards success. And that's been a really fun thing to give certain players that permission and let them really see their whole team thrive. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah. It's so funny, like going through and talking about these things and like how our words matter and how we can lift each other up and be an encouragement. And it got me thinking about people in the Bible that needed like that type of encouragement.
Oh yeah.
Like I think of probably, if not tied for first, maybe a close second, but maybe probably the most popular individual in the Old Testament would be Moses. Mm-hmm. I say close second to probably David. Mm-hmm. But early on in his calling, what God was asking him to do, he gave so many excuses as to, I don't want to do this. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do this. And God would say, no, like you got this. Like, I'm never going to leave you. He's like, well, I'm not a good speaker. And he's like, that's fine. Here's somebody that could speak for you. Yeah. And he's like, well, I've got this past. He's like, don't worry about that. Like, I'm there with you. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to push you. And then we get this crazy story of Moses about him approaching Pharaoh and the plagues and wandering in the wilderness for 40 years and all these different things, and just being encouraged. Like, God encouraged him. The people that God surrounded him with were encouraging to him. I think of like Jethro, who came along whenever Moses was spending so much time trying to deal with people's problems and issues, and Jethro came along and encouraged him. He said, hey, don't worry, you got this. Like, here's a better way to do this. Yeah. And was an encouragement to where they could get back moving, because every time they stopped in the wilderness, he had to spend weeks and months addressing, a million people's issues. So, I think of people like Joshua and who took over after Moses, and Joshua was constantly wrestling with the fact of, man, I need motivation to kind of get, these people into the promised land. And God tells him in Joshua chapter 1, it says, be strong and courageous. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. And literally, like, just the right words at the right moment can just be so uplifting and allow people to be able to deal with whatever they're going through. It could just be adversity on the court, or it could be something in life as well. Just being that encouragement. Hey, I know you're going through something right now, Anna, but I want to encourage you. I'm praying for you. If you ever want to talk about it, I mean, it may not take care of the problem, but I guarantee you the rest of your day and maybe the rest of your week will be a little bit better. Yeah.
Actually, when you're talking about Moses, this is reminding me of something that just happened about 2 games ago. I had a player who is a really good server. She's just really great. Yeah. And she was just having an off time. Like, served in the net, next rotation around, serves in the net again. We end up winning that match, but barely. When we come together after the game to talk about the game, in that same game, so that player is example 1. Example 2, in that same game, we have a girl who only plays front row. And when she was playing front row, she was playing so timid. She's a strong girl, like especially for a middle schooler, she's an athlete, period. Yeah. But she was playing almost like timid, very timid, almost like afraid. And I know she's not a scaredy cat person. We get into our huddle, and I look at girl number 1 and I say, hey, what's going on with that serving? And from what I know about this girl and most middle school kids who are going to private schools, this is not shade at all. This is just facts that I've gathered through time. She usually could just say some excuse, and that's like, okay, that's fine. Let's move on with it. Yeah. well, the excuse was that ball is just really flat. And I go, that ball is really flat, but everyone else was able to serve and the other team was able to serve with it. That's an excuse. And you're better than that. And I thought she was going to start crying. I'll be honest. Like, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
What have I done? And then I leave that alone for a second. And I said, you are just better than that. You cannot make that excuse. You have to be above that. And then I look at girl number 2 and I say, you are a strong player. But if we polled the audience, most of them, I think, after watching your performance, would think that you're afraid of the other team. And I said, look at them right now. And she looks over and I said, are you scared of them? And she says, no. And I look at the whole team. This is where things could have backfired. And I go, do you guys think she's scared of them? Is she afraid? And they were like, no, definitely not. I was like, please, everybody say no.
Yeah.
And everyone says, like, no, she's not scared. And I said, I need you to change people's minds this next game. Like, don't play in a way that would make anyone think you're afraid to be here.
Yeah.
And she stepped into that. Like, and so even those 2 different personalities, like having one person feel like, oh my gosh, I'm crushed by this corrective criticism, and another person going, this has given me what I need. But what was cool is even though the response looked different,
Yeah.
when the next game came along, the girl who had the serving struggles, she served like 6 aces in a row the next
crazy.
game. Like,
And you had to listen to the Dora song 6 times in a row.
so many times. And then the next, and so we win that second game by so much of a gap that we're so much of a margin that we were able to get other players in and get like some inexperienced players in to experience more and these things that are just so rewarding.
Yeah.
And after that game, I got to check in with both of those players and say, what you did proves that you have so much more to offer. And I hope that my words didn't hurt you. And both agreed that the words is what helped them.
Yeah.
And even though they weren't like fun, like it wasn't fun encouragement. Like,
sure.
You're the best. You have the cutest smile. I love your shoes. It was, you're better than what you are doing.
Yeah.
Like, you're better than what people are seeing. Can you please show them who you really are?
Yeah.
And
That's good.
that can be a really, really hard delivery. But I think this is what we see in Moses's life. And we see in these people, like, God provides words that aren't always just fun.
Yeah.
But they challenge us to step into who he's created us to be.
Yeah.
And in those moments, that's what like is truly valuable, by taking like the wisdom of a coach or taking the wisdom of God and his word and his people, like to go, oh, they're not just saying this to boss me around.
Yeah.
Or like to make me feel bad. They're saying this because it's true. And when you know someone loves you and they're telling you true things, even if they're a little bit stingy, it's a lot easier to take it and to move on with it.
It's so good. So be an encouragement to people today.
Yeah, even if it feels tricky.
Even if it feels tricky. All right, it's time for our mystery meet. One of these are Scott. We still haven't gotten to the one. We still haven't gotten to the one that Scott said or wrote for you. I don't know.
No.
What's your go-to dance move?
Oh my gosh, my go-to dance move. I have so many that I just go to. I love some like flossing. Flossing was, if you don't know what that is, it's not a dental procedure.
Yeah.
It is a little dance move that, I don't know, maybe 2012, circa 2012, 2015, something. All the kids when I was a teacher were doing it. And I was like, what is this? This is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Got into it. It's definitely phased out. I'm like, if I'm flossing, people are going, this lady. What did one of the video games introduce it to us? I feel like
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Fortnite
Yes.
did. So
That's
I think
right.
it was originally from the Backpack Kid.
Oh.
So that little boy that was like, you know, I don't know, he pops up in like random videos every now and then, but it came from him. And then Fortnite incorporated it into like an emote whenever you like make, whenever you kill somebody in the game or something.
Yeah. Eliminate.
That's right. Eliminate.
Yeah. Yeah, so I love that little dance move. And then just like the regular like little shoulder shuffle. I love a little shoulder shuffle.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
I do not dance.
at all.
But if I dance with Erica, it's not my favorite thing to do in the world. I just feel so awkward.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather make music that makes people dance than dance itself. But so I dance with my wife. She likes to do two-stepping and stuff like that. But if we're just like at a wedding and we're out on the dance floor, I dust this one off every now and then. I call it.
I'm getting so excited.
I call it the shopping cart.
Oh no.
I look like I'm pushing a shopping cart, and then I stop, and then I grab something, and then I look up at it, and I'm like reading and I dump it into the cart, and then I just start going again. People are like, "What is he doing?"
Pulling out the shopping cart. I feel like I can see you doing a little bit of the disco, like the hip to ceiling, like a little bit of that. Pulling out some of those moves. You ever pull those out?
I pull out the Napoleon Dynamite dance moves.
Oh, that's so good. Those are actually fire moves, though.
I know.
So that's allotted. That's fine.
Because you got it. Because he learned from Raekwon how to dance.
Put it in my pants and I...
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. Dance.
Yeah, Jamiroquai, dude. That's such a good song. I need to go watch that movie again.
I think I'm gonna go watch that dance right after this. One of my old buddies, Erin, they used to go to church here at Coker. She knew that whole dance.
Really?
And performed it on multiple occasions.
Oh man.
That's like incredible. Personal hero of mine.
It's funny. It's like, I love those two to death. But I can picture her saying, all right, it's time to go dance rehearsal. And just like saying, bye, Michael. It's time to go to dance rehearsal. She just runs upstairs. And then all you hear is just
yes.
the
I'm going to go to no dance. Gonna hit my pants tonight. Hey.
But
oh yes.
I mean, because you have to spend a lot of time to learn that dance.
I think she did.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that movie came out. I think she was in high school, college, maybe, and just spent a lot of time. Well, I remember doing. Okay, so now this is getting dangerous. If you're still listening, be prepared, because this is going into places. Whenever I was in college, because I had just the most free time ever in my life when I was a college student, like ever. And I can remember that was whenever, and I don't want this to age you. It'll definitely date me. But Teach Me How to Dougie came out.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in school. And I can remember me and a friend, we would watch that video on YouTube on loop until we were in our dorm room teaching each other, letting it teach us how to Dougie. Yeah. And I mean, we're doing the drop moves. That's why my knees hurt to this day. Like, I'm like, where did my knees go? Oh, yeah, to the Dougie. That's right. I dedicated my knees to the Dougie back in college. Yeah. They're destroyed. But we would watch, because there was a lot of like songs that come out that have dances with them. Yeah. But I felt like there was like a 5 or 7 year span where it was like nonstop. It was like Soulja Boy, Dougie, Whip It Nay Nay, Stanky Legs, like all the things. It's just like a huge span of like every single one of these songs has a dance that goes with it.
Yeah.
And they all made your knees and ankles get crushed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I guess this is where someone's like, oh, were you an athlete? Is that how you lost your knees? I'm like,
no, I'm a victim to the early 2000s dance trend.
Actually, Vine. I was trying to make a Vine video and destroyed my cartilage. Yep. There you go, folks.
Yep. The things that I just feel sorry for doctors. Like whenever we all start getting old, they're like,
what have you done?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens now. Like I go to the gym and meet with a trainer and they're like, there's certain things. I don't have my athletic build that I once had, unfortunately, but like I'll do things and he's like, I can tell that you used to be an athlete. Like just the way he's like, I train all kinds of people and the way you move, like these things that you're doing. And he's like, so what happened? And I'm like, dude, Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't know. I busted my knee doing the Dougie. And
they quit making these dances to go with these hip hop songs. So
I stopped doing hip hop dances in my dorm room.
I was waiting for Soulja Boy's next hit, but it never came.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
All right.
Rough in the streets out here, folks. Thanks for hanging around for this potluck.
Yep. Y'all have a good day. Y'all should go learn the Napoleon Dynamite.
Coaching advice for the day: save your knees.
Save your knees. Don't Napoleon Dynamite dance yourself to death. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening in with us today. We really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram. You can also watch the video version of this on YouTube as well. All you have to do is search up the Pastor's Potluck Podcast. From all of us here, we want to say thank you, and we'll see you next week.